Hello, this is Rad here, and this is our first explanation video for our Visual Studio project tutorials. And right now we're just going to expand on the Hello World project that we created in the last video. Um, I'm going to try to keep this short, but I'm going to try to show you how to create variables, how to use the message box more, and how to customize the properties and events for certain things in our form. So right here, first off, I'm going to go over properties. Right over here, you can see is properties, and events are directly beside it. Now right now we have the button 1 selected, so it's showing the button 1 properties. If we click on the form, it shows form 1, so we're going to go back to the button here. And right under text, you can make this button say whatever you would like. So instead of saying button 1, we could say display message, and now it is shown on the button. And more importantly than the text of the button, we want to go over the name of the button right here. Because same as projects, you want to name them specifically to what they do. Because you want other people to be able to read your code, and even when you're going over your code, you want to be able to look at the code and know what it is referring to. So instead of button 1, let's name it btn display. Because then when we look at the code, we will know what this button does if we had more buttons. And same with the form here. Instead of form 1, let's just change the text at the top to hello world, and you can see it changed right there. Now, I already showed you how to create the hello world project, so if you have that one, great. If not, you can just recreate it real quickly. It should only take you a minute. And we're going to change a few things here. So right now, our program still does the same thing that it did before. It shows hello world. And I'm going to show you a way to actually display more messages. Instead of just hard coding one message into what happens when you click that button, we're going to make it so the user can actually customize what the message is going to be. So we're going to go over to our toolbox over here and scroll down, and we are going to add a text box. So we have the text box. And same with this one, we're going to go over to the properties, and instead of leaving it as text box 1, we're going to name it txt message. We are now going to go under the code, and this is handling our button right here. So before, when we click the button, a message box would pop up and it would say hello world. Now instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take out hello world, and we are going to put in txt message, which is the name of our text box, and then we're going to add dot text. And the reason we put dot text is because we put txt message right here, which is referring to our message box, but Visual Studio doesn't know what we're talking about in reference to our message box, to our text box, I'm sorry. It could be the location, it could be where it is in X, where it is in Y, so we're putting text to specify that we want to refer to the text that is in our text box. So now, here's a really simple run of the program. We can put whatever we want here. We can put hello world like we had, display a message, we see hello world, we just put hello. It says hello, and anything you would like there. So this obviously opens up a lot of things that you can do. When you're referencing to a text box, you could add text together, you can make a little mini calculator, which we will probably expand on later. There's another thing that I wanted to expand on in this video, which is actual message boxes that we had. So we're actually going to create a little bit of a different program in this one, and I hope that this will show you how to use messagebox more. So we're going to take this text box, we're actually just going to get rid of that. We can just get rid of the button and get rid of all this code that we have here. So we're just starting with a plain form. You could have even created a new project if you want, and we're just going to add a button here. We're going to have this button. We're going to change the text in it, have it say exit. And we are going to change the name to btn exit. And another thing, especially when you're starting out with Visual Studio, is it's common where you will have the wrong thing selected where you're trying to change the name or the text of it. So just double check periodically whenever you're going to change something that you do have the right thing selected. So now we are going to double click on our exit button, and this opens up the code for us. So now here's where we're going to create our first variable. So we are going to put dim, D-I-M, which is declare in memory. And you're declaring this statement. Declares and allocates storage space for one or more variables. So what we're doing is freeing up space for our variable. And here's where you put the name of your variable. We're going to name it result. So right now, all we have done is we're declaring space for this variable named result as, which is saying what this variable is, what its type is. So we're going to put messagebox result. So right now, we're declaring space for a variable named result, and that variable is dependent upon a messagebox result. So we're going to put equals messagebox. And you should be familiar with this, but we are going to expand on messagebox a little bit. So as before, we're going to put in a string. And this string is what the messagebox, the prompt in the messagebox. And we're going to say, would you like to exit? And as in quotation marks is a string. This is the prompt that is going to be in the messagebox, same as in the previous one where we had hello world. Now we're going to put a comma here. And these are the buttons that we can have in our message box. We are going to select yes and no for the specific one. So just to give you a little rundown so far, what we have. So we have exit, we click, it says, would you like to exit, yes or no? We haven't specified anything for these buttons yet, so it doesn't really matter which one we click, because nothing happens. So now we're going to put in another comma, and this is the title. And we're just going to name it exit. So as you can see, we have our title at the top, our prompt that we put in, would you like to exit? And then yes and no, because those are the buttons that we selected that this one could have. Okay, so now that we have our message box created, we are going to use our variable here. So what we're going to do is we're also going to create an if-else statement. And this might be a little bit confusing because you've never used one before, but I hope it'll be clear by the end of it. We are going to put if result, which is the variable that we just created up here, equals messagebox result.yes. So if the user hits yes in this message box, if messagebox result is yes, then me.close. We're going to close our form, which is going to stop the program. Now what if they select no? Because there's only two options here. We're going to put else. So this is if the user does not select yes. We're going to message box. Let's put thank you for staying with a little smiley face here. So we have our button, we click it. Would you like to exit? No. Thank you for staying. And that is because the user did not select yes, and in other words, they selected no, so we get this message box, thank you for staying. Exit, yes, and the program exits. So that's really it for this explanation. I hope this clears things up a little. And just with this if-else statement, you can do a lot of things with it, and you can use a lot for this message box. Play around with the message box and continue using IntelliSense, because IntelliSense will explain a lot. Because right here, it tells us here's the prompt that we want to do. We put a comma in there. It's telling which buttons would you like. You can really select any just for this example. The title, and so on. It's incredibly useful, and if you don't understand something, just Google search whatever you need. You can go to MSDN, Stack Overflow. They're both very good websites for really figuring out anything you need to use. And just go on YouTube. A lot of the projects that I did for my Visual Basic class, most of the help that I got were, like I said, were either from MSDN, Stack Overflow, or just searching what I needed on YouTube. And you can find a lot of great resources, and one of the best tools you can develop as a programmer is really just finding information online, finding a solution to a problem that you don't understand, because you will encounter it. No one single person knows how to do everything in all languages. We all need to go to different resources to figure out solutions to the problems that we have. So that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that this clarified some things. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back from you. And have a great day.